theme of International Women's Day is to be bold for change. Everybody say that with me. To be
bold for change.
I want to encourage you that as an individual, you can advocate for whatever issue it is that is important to you. And we've got to do things differently. And so I encourage all of you, come on a field trip, please. Come to Topeka. Come there. It is the people's house. You have to come there and let your voices be heard on the issues that are important to you. I honored my mother's wish, ran for office, elected in 2004 with 77% of the vote. In the House of Representatives, the opportunity came, and now I'm over in the Senate. And talking about women's issues. In the Kansas Senate, it took 148 years for me to be elected as the first African American woman in the Kansas Senate. Senator Susan Wago, it took her 150 years to become the first woman to serve as the president of the Kansas Senate. And in the Kansas Senate, there are 40 senators. Previously, there were only 11, and we got up to 13. We're up to 15 now. So this year we have 15 women in the Senate. Even though Senator Susan Wago is the president of the Kansas Senate, still the men kind of still run things. Still kind of the good old boy system. We need more women. There are only 2 African Americans in the Kansas Senate, and that's myself and Senator David Haley from Kansas City. He is the nephew of Alex Haley, who wrote the book Roots. We need all people at the table to share their perspective in order to make real change. More women need to run for office. There are no Latinos in the Kansas Senate. There are no Asians. There are no Native Americans. I don't look like your typical senator, do I? I don't look like your typical senator. I usually have an entourage, a couple of interns and my assistant. They follow me, and I'm a chakra pen, and then I've got my state pen, and then I've got my Senate pen. And you only get this pen if you're a senator. However, when I'm walking down the hall and I'll go up to get my lunch, and they'll usually give my interns, who are usually Caucasian, they usually give them a lunch, and I used to get angry, but now I use it as a teaching opportunity. And so I'll make a joke and I'll say, oh, I know a senator really looks like a old white man. And I said, they just gave me this to wear, just, so, wherever you are, in the classroom, the boardroom, wherever you are, you have to, you can make a difference. And you have to take each experience and make that difference. We talk about women's rights. Women are still in certain positions, they're still paid less than that man, and they're doing the same job. You have to be bold to say, that's not right, that ain't right, and we're not going to stand for it. I'm a ranking member on some key committees. So we talked about the Senate Fed and State Committee. That's the committee we call the SIN Committee. 10:30 in the morning tomorrow, there will be a hearing on medical marijuana. I also this session introduced the bill that we would not have guns on college campuses. The guys, I want to tell you, this is why it's important that you come. You can write a letter, you can send that email, you can make that phone call, but if you're present, if you're there, it makes the world of difference. I got about 400 emails saying, we don't want it. I got 4 saying, we want it. But the makeup of the committee, I have 9 senators on a committee, and so I just look at it like there's 8 white guys and me. And so but I still have to be a little more knowledgeable. So ever since I've been in the legislature, I fall asleep now with law books on me. I can just tell you where this law is. Of the 165 legislators, out of 165, there's now a total of 8 African Americans, period. Representative Ponkawee Victors, she's Native American. She's elected the first Native American to serve in the Kansas legislature. And Representative Delia Garcia was the first Latina elected, and that's it. So Shirley Chisholm has a quote in here, says, they don't have a chair for you at the table, bring a folding chair. There was a quote of Malala. She said she didn't want to be known as the girl who got shot. She wanted to be known as the girl that stood up and made a difference. And that's what you all have to do. You've got to have real courage. And, you know, we keep just over and over doing the same thing, and you get the same results. So you have to do something different. And we talk about March is Women's Suffrage Month. 19th Amendment, getting the right to vote for women. However, African American women, they didn't really get to exercise their right to vote until 1963 and 5, and, you know, blood, sweat, and tears to get that right to vote. I also am the ranking member of the Senate Ethics and Elections Committee. So on a daily basis, Secretary Chris Kobach stands before me, and once again, I'm the only African American in the room, and so all the bills that he brings forward to take us backwards in voting rights, making it harder. So I got to battle with him. And so it's a constant battle. When you're trying to change something, you're always going to be faced with opposition. That's right. You always, and it's going to be struggle. And you have to, it's a continuous effort. So my mother would always say, well, you're going to fall down sometime, you get up and keep keeping on. And that's why I passed this out to you. Come up with an idea, something that you want changed within the law, because we can do all the talking and marching and whatever, and it's not going to make a difference unless we enact it in policy and procedure. You have to have a law that says you shall do this or you shall not do that, and there has to be consequences for that. And so come up with an idea, send me an email. All I need is a paragraph, a synopsis of what you want, and then I turn it over to the revisers and the lawyers, and they put it into a bill form. And I'll introduce that bill, you guys come up and testify for it. That's how you're going to make the change. I mean, I've been studying this, because I'm a big advocate for social justice. I'm fighting for those rights. I'm fighting for women's rights. I'm fighting for human rights. And I'm fighting for economic rights. All of those things, but it's not going to make a difference unless it's in paper, unless it's in those books and policies. I need a show of hands, Dr. Akbar. I need a show of hands. Who wants the medical marijuana? Really? Wow. Okay, so, well, I'll tell them what you said. So then I'm also the ranking member, as I started to talk about, for voting issues. So that's the Ethics and Elections Committee. So so it kind of works like this for me. Sometimes I have things that, you know, because we're always going to be advocating for education, you know, and school funding. That's a given. We're going to deal with that every year. We're going to deal with the tax bill. We're going to deal with the budget bill, you know, to pay our state bills. And we're going to do that stuff. It's November 8th, the election day, when we went to vote for our new president. I started getting phone calls that morning at 6:30 a.m. and that was going to be my day to sleep in. And I started getting phone calls from people who said they went to their voting location and it was a sign there saying the voting, it had moved, it had changed to a new location. And so I introduced a bill, Senate Bill 78. It went through, it had the committee hearing, it went to the Senate floor for debate. It passed out of there, and now we're in turnaround mode. So all of the Senate bills go over to the House of Representatives. They debate our bills over there, and we debate theirs, and then it all comes back together. And at the end of it, guys, you won't believe this. Only 6 people make the final decision. Thank goodness I'm one of those 6. But the bill that I introduced was that if a voting location is changed, that the voters who vote there need to know that 30 days prior to the election. So, yeah, I mean, something as simple as that. And oh, there's my friend up there. Hi. Anybody know what a lobbyist does? A real lobbyist. They hang in the hallways. That's why they're called lobby. So as soon as I walk out of my office, lobbyists are on you. They're on you, trying to convince you to vote for or not vote for something. I tell them what Shirley Chisholm said: I can't be balked and I can't be bossed. So because I'm going to vote for what's good for my district and for the people. Good, okay, yeah. Politics actually is simply convincing people to see it your way. That's it. That's all it is. So if you can present like in a courtroom, present your case and then agitate, stay on it, then you're gonna get that. And I'm gonna just say, I mean, women kind of we're our own worst enemies. Other people can talk us out of things, can't they? Or make you feel that you can't do it, but we can do it. And this quote here says, be a first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of somebody else.
Yes.
Yes. One of the lessons that I grew up with was to always stay true to yourself and never let what somebody else says distract you from your goals. Michelle Obama said that.
Wow.
I'm just saying, you gotta have courage, you gotta show up, you gotta do your best, you gotta trust in God, you gotta believe in yourself, because sometimes others won't. My sister died, and her husband was killed in a motorcycle accident, and then they left 5 kids. And so my mother raised them, and I helped out too. And so, but I saw the struggle that my mother endured trying to keep the 5 grandchildren together. And so that's why the Grandparents as Caregivers Act, all of your child in need of care issues that are in law now, those are all my bills. Those laws. Condoleezza Rice. She says, let your difference not be a handicap. Let it be the difference to make that change. So you being different, I mean, that's cool. It's a diverse summit. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. I can have up to 3 interns. So like I said, it's, you know, you let me know and you fill out some paperwork and we do that. So, but you gotta take up a project, and I told them they gotta follow it through, like the little picture I showed you. So I introduced the bill, go through that maze, see it to the end. Don't. Yeah, and I know that gentleman in the black shirt. Hi. What's your question?
So you're talking about getting involved in things you are passionate about, and so what are some good opportunities for students or like young adults like us to get involved here in Wichita in things that we're passionate about? Like what's a way to step in the door to?
Well, seriously, if you guys call me or email my office, anyway, I have a wonderful assistant, Iris, and she'll send you an email of everything that you can do.
Is there any way that I can show support for getting more funding for higher education in that process?
Simply need to call the governor. I mean, seriously, and tell him. And like I said, I know that you have lobbyists from Wichita State are in the Capitol all the time, and they are advocating for you. But again, you've got to convince the 165 legislators to see it your way. What I'm finding, though, is the people in your age group, you're already making that change. You're not the racism and the sexism, it's not so much here. You guys are finally coming together. I like the majority of the senators, they are older men, but however, right now, there's a group of us who are kind of, you know, we see things a little differently. So Senator Jake LaTurner, who I think he's 27 or something, but anyway, we're seeing things a little differently, and we care more about those issues that you just mentioned. Be bold for change. Actually say your name, say you're a voter, give me your telephone number, then I know you're a real person.
Young women like us who have younger kids, and we're looking at creating that kind of change that you talk about. How do we balance, you know, being mothers to young children, being involved with community services, and, you know, and being involved in politics, like creating that change? I
went in, my daughters were still over at Minnehaha. They were in 4th and 5th grade, and what I would do, I thought it was important because I campaigned on teacher, student, parent equals success in education. So I would drive back to Wichita and attend a teacher-parent conference. Then I'd drive back to Topeka. I go to just about every community meeting, and I still go to Topeka, the politics. You just got to have it in here to the desire to do it. It can be done. You may not get that community support you're looking for. You may not get it. You have to still walk along with your big stick and, you know, just keeping on, you know, and don't let anybody else distract you or tell you what you can or can't do, and keep doing that. It's a song that said it's a man's world, and it really still is. But that's why this day, International Women's Day, you know, so the women took off work. I did a resolution on the Senate floor today for this event that, you know, just stop doing some stuff for a while and they'll see how important you are, you know, to the family and to the work. You have to be the change that you want to see, and just do it. But look, guys, the process. See that maze? So say in your top left-hand corner of this paper, say that's me. That is. So that's me introducing your bill. And then it's got to go through all this chamber, and you got to pray and hope that it gets down here at the bottom to the governor's desk to be signed into law. And you only have 90 days. 90 days, that's it, to try to do that.
In Topeka today at the committee meetings, and I stopped by your office to thank you. Actually took the time to send a recommendation to for my daughter for law school. She got it. She got that recommendation, and,
Oh,
and
that's
everything worked out just fine.
I'm so glad, because that's what I'm supposed to do, is help that next generation. I have my 2 daughters. I actually have, she's a senior here at Wichita State. All she wants, really, she wants a house and a car and a parrot. And then my other daughter, she wants to, change the world. And, my father's a white Frenchman and my mother's black. And so, but my sister, who was darker complected than I, so since 4th grade, I've been fighting, because I saw the injustices and the way that she was treated and the way that other people who didn't look like me was treated. And I'm like, that ain't right. So I've been fighting all this time. I have to follow up. You can't just get your degree and then go off on your own and just do your thing.